All right, my 2 cent segment of the week to kick off the show, where I give my sports takes on things I've seen over the past few days to a week. And I'll get right into it. I went to the Chargers and Browns game at SoFi this past weekend. I will talk about that. I'm going to mention Kansas City a little bit here. We'll talk about the Chiefs. We will talk about Odell Beckham Jr., who seems to have lost himself in this offense with the Browns. If I have time, I'll mention the Tyson Fury fight. And also some college football stuff. Finally, Nick Saban in Alabama loses. Can't believe that. And my biggest surprise of the last couple of days has to be the Boston Red Sox. The fact that I thought they were going to get swept, and they beat the Rays, who I thought was going to go to the World Series. Shows you how much everybody knows, including me. But anyway, let me start with some football stuff. People like to, as soon as you get on top, and people see some weakness in you, they just want to bring you down right away and say, just crush you down, and just say, that's it, that we're done. They're done. And even though Kansas City is 2-3, they're still really good. Now, obviously their defense is not, can't deny that, right? They're one of the worst defenses in the league. And Patrick Mahomes is getting a little loose with the ball. He's starting to throw more interceptions than he typically does. He addressed it after the game also, just saying, look, these are uncharacteristic mistakes for me. I never throw this many picks, especially early in the year. For his career, I think they said he had never thrown an interception in September, and he's already thrown a few. So it's like, this is not the usual Patrick Mahomes. I think there's a couple things happening. One, people get paid and they leave. Obviously, in free agency, you can't keep everybody. Mahomes got his big contract, long-term extension, and there's a Super Bowl hangover. When you go to the Super Bowl, it's hard. I mean, outside of Brady and the Bucs, we'll see if they can get back, but you just don't see teams repeating, or even if they get back, it's just hard to win multiple Super Bowls in a row. And I think this is a natural hangover for a group that, has been playing a lot of football. So to say that Kansas City's dead, I don't think so. However, the division's hard, and I'll talk about the Chargers in a second, but the Raiders, I mean, don't get me started on that. We'll see what everything comes out with. And if you don't know about this, by the way, John Gruden was fired or resigned because of these emails from 10 years ago where he was making racial and insensitive, sexually oriented, discriminating emails. We'll just say that. And there's a lot more involved there. So I can't comment on it yet, but there's obviously a lot of stuff happening with Gruden and the Raiders. So where do the Raiders go from here? So for Kansas City, you got Denver, who's starting to slide, but still a tough team. Raiders are kind of in the mix. And then you got the Chargers, who are doing great. And like I said, I'll talk about that in a second. I want to get to the Buffalo Bills, though. The Buffalo Bills are the real deal. They're putting up over 30 points a game, I believe, every single game. They're crushing teams on the road. They just went into Kansas City, one of the toughest places to play, and just lit them up, won by double digits. Josh Allen might be the best quarterback in the league next to Justin Herbert. We'll have to see down the stretch how they do. But the Buffalo Bills are for real. Their defense is really good. And obviously their quarterback and offense also really good. Josh Allen's coming into his own. I think the Buffalo Bills could go to the Super Bowl this year. No surprise. They're playing as good as anybody right now. But as far as the Charger game that I went to against the Browns at SoFi Stadium, by the way, the tailgating was amazing. Had a great time with my dad and some of our family friends. So it was a lot of fun being there. Now, I went to the Rams game, as some of you know, the week before. Didn't tailgate. This is a different deal. We did the whole tailgating thing near SoFi. Charger Alley or Thunder Alley with the Chargers. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool. So got to experience that and go to SoFi again. Sat on the other side of the stadium this time and probably saw the best live football game I've ever seen. Arguably the best sporting event I've ever seen. Not just because it was at SoFi, which is an amazing stadium, but it was 47-42 final score. The Chargers beat the Browns, and the Chargers really had no business winning that game, but they did. They came back from the first half deficit to beat the Browns. As far as the Browns go, Nick Chubb was amazing. The running back, he looked great. Baker Mayfield looked pretty good. Threw for over 200 or threw for over 300 yards. Didn't have any interceptions. Baker Mayfield looked solid, but he's just not Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert's amazing. The guy is just simply incredible. He does it all. He can run. He can throw. He just knows the offense. He takes control of the offense. And what's really cool about the Chargers is Brandon Staley, the head coach, goes for it pretty much on every fourth down. I mean, the guy went for it, 4th and 2 on his own, underneath his own 20. Like, you're backed up in your own territory and you're going for 2 every time. Pretty intense. But knowing that, and Herbert can command that offense, it works. And they were rewarded for being bold. And I think there's a saying about fortune rewards the bold, or whatever it is, favors the bold. They went for it on a ton of 4th downs, even 4th and 8, and got them. They have so much firepower in that offense. Mike Williams, the receiver, who's completely a non-factor in Anthony Lynn's offense last year, is now a freaking stud. He's a dude now. And Herbert found him twice for 2 long touchdowns. So it's like, damn, dude, where's this offense been? Austin Eckler, the running back, was amazing in the running game and the passing game. He was great to watch. Keenan Allen's still there. They threw to the tight end Parham for a touchdown. They got Jared Cook. This Chargers team is going to be very tough to beat. Their only losses to the Dallas Cowboys at SoFi a few weeks ago, and that was a close game too. So Dallas seems to be legit, but the Chargers also seem to be legit. The Browns are tough, man. They came off of a game against Minnesota, a low-scoring game. I don't want to talk about it, but I unfortunately decided not to play Justin Herbert in fantasy this weekend. I don't really want to mention that. But anyways, because I thought the Browns had a legit defense, but oh well. Anyways, crazy game. Chargers ended up winning. Awesome game. But that brings me to Odell Beckham Jr. I made a video of this. Check out my Instagram. I also did it on my TikTok, but check out my Instagram about a video I did on this, about how Odell is just basically, since 2014, and I got the numbers to back it up, you can check. Since 2014, his yards per game have decreased every single year for the past 7 years. So he went from over 100 yards a game average per game in 2014. Now he's in the 40-yard per game average. He's a non-factor. They barely throw to him. He had a huge drop on 4th down for the Browns this past weekend. He is just an afterthought now with this Browns offense, especially with Chubb. And I know Jarvis Landry got hurt, but you got Kareem Hunt, you got Njoku, you got Austin Hooper, the tight ends. Odell Beckham just doesn't fit. They tried to fit him in last year. And after Odell got hurt, hate to say it, they got better without Odell. When you have a big name wide receiver, you feel like you have to force feed him, or the diva in him, you have to get him the ball all the time to make him happy. No, it doesn't work. You don't need a diva wide receiver to be good in the NFL. And you really don't see teams that have those win anyway. So I think he's obviously severely fallen off. He doesn't fit. I don't know what the future is for Odell Beckham Jr. They're already talking about trading him at the deadline. I think you got to deal Odell. He doesn't fit. It's just what it is. And him and Baker Mayfield's chemistry is off. It's just not there. So I think they got to make a deal for Odell Beckham Jr. It just doesn't make sense anymore in Cleveland. Let's talk some college football real quick. I want to get to that. Finally, I made a video about how I don't see any assistants last week beating Nick Saban. He's 24-0 at Alabama against former assistants that he had at Alabama underneath him. He was 24-0 going into the weekend. I thought the Texas A&M game was an afterthought. I thought it was going to be Kirby Smart and Georgia getting him at least in the SEC championship game, or eventually in the college football playoff. Kirby Smart at Georgia is going to get 2 chances at Saban at the end of the year, not now. So he goes to Texas A&M and loses to Jimbo Fisher, a former assistant, former Florida State guy, for those of you that remember Jimbo Fisher. Couldn't believe it. He finally lost to one of his assistants. I never thought it would be this weekend, but it was. And now they're out of the top 5. It's a weird top 5 now. You had the big win for Iowa against Penn State at Iowa. That was a huge win, number 3 versus number 4. Now you got the top 4. You got Georgia at number 1, who's going to cruise all the way till the end. Iowa number 2. Cincinnati's who's undefeated at number 3. They beat Notre Dame. Oh, yeah, whoop-de-doo. Big overrated Notre Dame. By the way, though, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you got to admit, they're so overrated. The country wants them to be really good, but they're like USC. They're like Texas. They're always overrated for who they really are. Miami, they're just the national brand that people want to be really good, but they're really not that good. So like I said, Georgia number 1, Iowa number 2, Cincinnati number 3, and Oklahoma now at number 4 after that crazy wild game against Texas they had in the Red River rivalry. Say that 3 times fast. Oklahoma snuck in the top 4. Alabama's looking on the inside or the outside looking in at number 5. And then you got Ohio State, you got other teams, Oregon in the mix. So this is for anybody to get in. You know, Alabama still might sneak in with 1 loss later on during the year. We'll see if they can still make it to the SEC championship game. But right now, this is a strange top 4 with Iowa, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma is usually mixed, but Iowa and Cincinnati, I still believe in my heart that Georgia and Alabama are leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else that has a chance to win a championship. I just don't see it from these other programs. I really don't. But we'll see. And speaking of Iowa, my guest today is Matt Nordby, who went to Iowa State, but he is a true Iowa man. So I think it's kind of cool we have a guy from Iowa. But yeah, crazy college football weekend. Lots more to come with that. Real quick, some baseball. Like I mentioned off the top, the biggest surprise to me in the playoffs so far is the Boston Red Sox. I thought they were going to get swept. I really did. I thought this team kind of limped into the playoffs. I know they beat the Yankees in a big, play-in game, whatever, but I thought the Rays were the best team in the American League, just waiting to crush the Red Sox. and they beat them in 4 games. The Red Sox did. Unbelievable. I did not see that coming. I thought the Tampa Bay Rays were going back to the World Series. Again, talk about hangover from the previous years. It happens. These things happen. You run into a hot team. And if you remember 2004, the Red Sox got hot. They were down 0-3 to the Yankees, and they ended up winning the World Series that year and propelled them to another World Series in 2007 as well. It's amazing what happens in baseball. It's all about the hot team. You just never know. And the Red Sox are hot. So they're moving on to the next round. We'll see who they play. Obviously I record these on Tuesday. So when you get it on Thursday, stuff can happen in the playoffs. I can't talk about the Dodgers yet just because, at this moment in time, they're down 2-1 after the game they lost Monday night. So I hope by Thursday the Dodgers are still in it, but we'll see. San Francisco looks pretty tough. So anyways, lots of playoff baseball to go. I'll leave you with that, and I'll let you get to my interview with Matt Nordby, who's a former baseball executive with the Pirates and then took a total career change and went to NASCAR. And he's been in NASCAR for 10 years in Charlotte, living there. So from baseball to NASCAR, different roles, but still in the communications department. So I got a chance to meet him at a media conference. So fun interview with Matt today. So hope you guys enjoy that. This was my 2 cents segment for the week. And I will see you on the interview coming up right now.